I was here just a few weeks ago for the very first Sarajevo Pride, which was an extraordinary event. They thought only 500 people would march, and there were 3,000 of us. And it was an incredible atmosphere. And for me, it was an indication that things are changing in Bosnia and Herzegovina, that the country is indeed moving to a more open and inclusive society. And diverse societies are more successful, they're wealthier, and you need that here. We all need that. So if you didn't come to Pride a couple of weeks ago, I hope that you'll be on the march with me next year at the next Pride. I'm here today despite cancelled flights, collapsing airlines, despite the fact that my future as an MEP is uncertain, despite the fact that my parliamentary delegation for relations with Bosnia and Herzegovina failed to fully constitute itself yesterday. I'm here because I'm here outside of my official duties, because all of us who are committed Europeans, peacemongers, and friends of Bosnia and Herzegovina should not wait for the Commission, the Council, and the Parliament to get its act together. We need to stand together in solidarity and friendship, demonstrating our common vision for a better life and our commitment to bringing all the former Yugoslavia properly into membership of the European project as soon as possible for the sake of a more sustainable peace for everyone. So, I need to talk about the challenges. There are many. Even before the recent elections, in fact, right at the very beginning of my last mandate, in the first couple of years, the Stabilisation and Association Parliamentary Committee in my parliament had founded here in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We only had one meeting in the parliament here in Sarajevo. And that was because somebody wanted to change the rules of procedure. And whatever else the European Parliament might be able to do to shift things, to hold out its hand, to say there is room for manoeuvre, changing the rules of procedure is not possible. Meanwhile, the parallel process in Kosovo made progress against all the odds. So, in a country where parliamentarians set off tear gas in the national building, in the National Parliamentary Building, we still had many meetings of the SAPC. I hope, however, that we will fully constitute our committee in the forthcoming weeks, and that we will somehow or other manage to persuade parliamentarians here that they need to meet with us, that it's absolutely imperative, both for Bosnia and Herzegovina and also for the European Union, for us to have this coming together, this dialogue with each other in a joint parliamentary process. We've just had European elections, and of course elections bring their own challenges. I have to say, I didn't expect to be an MEP after the end of March. I didn't expect to be an MEP after April the 12th, which was the first extension of Article 50. But we had elections in my country. I was re-elected. I'm still an MEP. I'm also now Vice Chair of the Education and Culture Committee. I'm Vice President of the Children's Rights Intergroup. I'm co-chair of the Intergroup on Diversity and Anti-Racism. And I'm telling you this because I want you all to understand that Brexit is not inevitable. Okay? Every day that I wake up and we haven't done Brexit is another day for those of us who believe that the UK should continue to be a member. It's a day for us to stop it. And if you have friends in the UK, you should tell them to get in touch with me, because I have many ideas to share with them from the incredible European movement that grew up in my country. We now have the most powerful European movement of any EU member state. We have more people, more citizens who know more about the EU than anywhere else. And on October the 19th, we are going to have a huge march and demonstration in London. And if you want to come, you'd be most welcome. And please tell all your friends and family to join us there. So, my Parliament elected 60% new MEPs in May. And that presents challenges. You know that there are many old friends of yours who are no longer in the Parliament, and new parliamentarians need to be inducted into the whole, all the complexities of life that being a European parliamentarian means. And so things are not going to happen very quickly. We're in a period of constituting different committees, different intergroups, voting for different positions. And that was a failure yesterday, which I needed to report to you. We also have a controversial, undemocratic process regarding the appointment of the new president of the Commission. And some people are very unhappy with that. And that's regardless of whether Mrs. von der Leyen does a good job or not. It was difficult for people calling for a more democratic Europe to see the Spitzencandidate process being overruled and ignored. We're just about to have all the hearings for the Commissioner designates, and we've already been presented with a very bizarre set of potential competencies within the different commissioner roles, and very strange titles such as the defence of our European way of life, which for many people rang alarm bells about what does that mean? What does that say to people who maybe have multiple identities? You know, I am always defending the multiplicity of European identities, and so coming with a title like that for many of us presents certain dangers. There are other things which we are finding difficult. I'm a defender of culture. I worked in arts and culture before I was in politics, and so we have no commission which has the word culture in its title. And I can tell you that when we have the hearing for the main commissioner who might take on culture in her title, that we are asking to change that title. So we are already fighting the establishment as political animals to defend the values of the Europe that we believe is possible, the Europe that we want to see standing up for all Europeans. And we have an EU that is very introspective at the minute, introspective as a response to populism and nationalism. And in that context, I've been wondering, where are the young people here demonstrating against climate change, whilst young people all across Europe in the smallest towns are out every Friday now because of Greta Thunberg and her extraordinary movement to draw attention to the existential threat that we face. We have yet to see some countries where the threat to the climate has become a number one issue. We also have a lot of political resistance and game playing here in Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also across the wider Western Balkans. We still have huge problems with infrastructure here. It's very hard to get here. It's extremely hard to get here, and then very hard to get out, and very hard to visit neighbouring countries. And that can't be right. That is not how things should be. And even trying to find the internet when I got here is a problem. And I was speaking to Maria Gabriel, the Commissioner Designate, only this afternoon, and this morning before I left. And she is very committed to trying to push to end roaming right across Europe, not just in EU member states. So I tell you that because I heard it, and I will make sure that I continue to push for that. And we've got youth restlessness and frustration, young people living online, feeling very European, dressing in European clothes and identifying with European popular culture, and yet cut off from their European peers. And that's not right either. And that risks brain drain, disaffection, apathy, radicalisation. We've also seen that in some EU member states recently accessed member states such as Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, we've seen backsliding on human rights commitments, and we've seen certain countries mired in corruption scandals. That's not just new member states, that's older member states too. Many of your old friends are doing strange, unsettling things, aren't they? So Brexit is very unsettling for people here in this part of the world. And I know that when I talk to my friends in Northern Macedonia, in Montenegro. I know it when I talk to my friends in Kosovo, who say when the UK voted to leave the EU, it provoked a lot of questions here amongst the citizens, and that makes it harder for you to win those arguments. And we also have a very aggressive policy, foreign policy from Russia, and we have the United States of America with Mr. Trump as the president promoting uber nationalism and Islamophobia, and thinking only about his country and not about the wider world, and pulling out of all those unilateral agreements that we feel make us a safer world. So all these things are huge challenges for us at the minute. In Germany, we also see fascism on the rise. We see AfD members elected to the parliament, and this, of course, makes people worried. So what should we do? Well, we must continue to strengthen and support civil society. So when politics are polarised, civil society is where we must all put our energies. And we must continue to demonstrate that civil society is where the ideas are born and where the leaders currently exist. And we have to give more and more attention, more resources to civil society, particularly young people. So I'm really proud that the Erasmus Plus programme, we won more money for that programme, and we won more broadening out of that programme to include disaffected young people, and more countries to be involved in that. And those of us in positions of power and responsibility need to reach out a hand to others, particularly to women, to minorities, to youth, to help and support them to become the leaders of the future. So mentorship programs, job shadowing programs, entrepreneurship programs, social entrepreneurship programs. And I'm very, very proud that I have been an MEP who have had a lot of young people come and job shadow me. It isn't a program that exists in the Parliament. I just do it because I believe it's important. But we also have extraordinary programs for young people within the different political groups and within the Parliament as a whole. So if you know young people who you feel would benefit from those programs, please get in touch, and we will try and make sure that they can be included. We've got to champion the positive, powerful role of culture. which I believe offers the genuine and most powerful dialogue platform for dialogue of all. So, for example, the wonderful Sarajevo Film Festival that you have, all the cultural institutions that are still operating here. And I should say, I'm on the board of Northwest England Remembering Srebrenica, and at our most recent commemoration event, we had the most extraordinary artists, singers, musicians from Bosnia and Herzegovina sing and play music in Manchester Cathedral, and just extraordinary. So they are your ambassadors. And I just yesterday received an invitation from a theatre director and a political activist, citizenship activist, who is running a political festival here in Sarajevo, but I think also in some other cities in December. Now, I didn't see any other country get in touch about that. You're doing it. It's happening here. A festival about how politics can be different, kinder, and that's desperately what we all need.